down on the ground at the Society for Economic Anthropology's conference here in Copenhagen and sitting with Heangjin Park, who has just presented on his research today as an economic anthropologist, looking at the dynamics of Korean goods and how they're perceived in China and the Chinese boycott of Korean goods. What has been your journey to bring you to this conference?
Let me start with what I wanted to be when I was very young. That I wanted to be an economist.
Yeah.
Because at the my fourth year in elementary school, I learned about the supply and demand. I was fascinated by the graph and all the economic realities of people who study it. So when I entered college, I really wanted to study economics. I just kind of took economic 101, and I fought with my professor a lot. I didn't buy all the assumptions and the formula that my professor tried to instill, and so okay, I'm not going to study economics. And at the same semester, I was taking anthropology, and I got intrigued by it. So I had the interest in economics and market, but I wanted to do in a way that economists would do. So so that dragged me to economic anthropology. I chose anthropology as my major in my college, and then I try to do how to use anthropological methods and ethnographic studies into studying market realities. And I have always been interested in the relationship between economy and society, economy and the political economy and the cultural, and how we can figure out the relationship of the abstract categories, and how that kind of combination of those the relationships are implemented into the real world examples and cases. So that's what I'm doing as an economic anthropologist.
At what point in that journey, I love that story of being in the economics 101 class and then just, not having that kind of point of tension draw you into this other field of academic inquiry. At what point along that journey did you start considering yourself to be an economic anthropologist?
So you want to talk about my aversion to economics or my love for anthropology?
Yeah, both. Kind of the aversion to love trajectory?
My taking apart from Econ 101 was when my professor tried to explain the concept of demand.
Yeah.
But if somebody can pay $100 for bread and somebody can only pay $1 for bread, that doesn't mean that the person with $1 doesn't need bread and the person with $100 need more bread. So the concept of the actual demand and the relational demand is that concept is okay, this is an abstract concept, doesn't represent the social reality and the political realities. And that was the moment I stay apart from the economic, the Econ 101. And my love for anthropology is more about when I started learning about gift. I fell in love with anthropology because I read a lot about the Melanesian anthropology, about Kula, how, and the practice of giving and sharing, and what is the the political and the cultural meaning of giving and sharing. So that part was very therapeutic and gave me a lot of hope about how we can recuperate and recover the sociality in this very dark and gray social the capitalist society. So that is my moment of taking apart and falling in love with economic anthropology. Anthropology.
Oh, exactly. And thank you so much for sharing. I think that's a fascinating trajectory, particularly how you went, on this journey from that demand discussion and realizing very quickly the limitations of that, which I think, from my perspective, have brought you into this fascinating research in terms of looking at both goods and the political ramifications that dictate their consumption and production.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.